In 1984, a psychologist named Benjamin Bloom discovered something that would haunt education for the next 4 decades. He found that students who received one-on-one tutoring performed 2 standard deviations better than students in traditional classrooms. To put that in perspective, the average tutored student outperformed 98% of classroom students. Bloom called it the 2 sigma problem, because while individual tutoring was clearly superior, it was economically impossible to give every student their own tutor. For 40 years, that problem seemed unsolvable, until now.
A growing number of college students are reportedly turning to artificial intelligence for help with their coursework.
ChatGPT goes to Harvard and does better than you might think.
In 2025, Harvard researchers published a study in Scientific Reports demonstrating that students using an AI tutor learned significantly more than students in active learning classrooms and did it in less time. Let me say that again. Not marginally better, not slightly improved. Students learned more than twice as much in less time from a piece of software. This isn't a future prediction. This is peer-reviewed research happening right now at one of the world's most prestigious universities, and it raises a terrifying question for the $700 billion higher education industry. If an AI can teach better than a professor, what exactly are you paying $50,000 a year for? Let's understand why this matters by looking at what's already happening to higher education. College enrollment has been declining for over a decade. Between 2010 and 2023, colleges collectively lost approximately 2.3 million students, a decline of 13% from the peak of 18.1 million students in 2010. And it's about to get much worse. Demographers are calling it the enrollment cliff, a sharp drop in 18-year-olds starting around 2025, caused by declining birth rates since the 2007 recession. The Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia published a model predicting that in a worst-case enrollment drop scenario, a sudden 15% decline overall in enrollment, as many as 80 additional colleges could close each year. But here's what's really interesting. The decline isn't just about demographics, it's about value. A recent NBC News poll found that 63% of Americans now believe a 4-year degree is not worth the cost, up from 49% in 2017. Among Republicans, only 22% still believe a degree is worth it, compared to 55% in 2013. And honestly, the math supports their skepticism. The average cost of attending a private 4-year college is now nearly $63,000 per year when you include tuition, room, board, and fees. Even public universities cost almost $30,000 for in-state students. The total cost of getting a bachelor's degree, when you factor in student loan interest and lost income, can exceed $500,000. Meanwhile, companies like Google, Apple, and IBM have dropped college degree requirements entirely. They've figured out something important. What you can do matters more than what paper you have. According to the National Association of Colleges and Employers 2025 report, almost 2/3 of employers now use skills-based hiring to identify candidates, and for 3 straight years, less than 40% have screened candidates by GPA. So we have a system that costs $500,000, takes 4 years, and doesn't guarantee employment, competing against technology that can deliver better educational outcomes for a fraction of the cost on your phone. That's not a competition. That is an extinction event. But wait, surely universities offer something AI can't, right? Let's examine that claim. Benjamin Bloom's original 2 Sigma research identified exactly why one-on-one tutoring works so well: immediate feedback, adaptive pacing, and personalized attention. A tutor can see when you're confused, adjust explanations on the fly, and meet you exactly where you are. A lecture hall with 300 students, it does none of those things. In a traditional classroom, the professor teaches to the middle. Students who are ahead get bored. Students who are behind get lost. And because there's no immediate feedback loop, misconceptions compound. You might not discover you don't understand Chapter 3 until you fail the exam on Chapter 10. Now look at what AI tutors can do. Khan Academy's Khanmigo, which grew from 68,000 users in 2023 to 24 to over 700,000 in 2024 to 25 across more than 380 school districts, doesn't just give answers. When a student asks for help with an algebra problem, it responds, "Hey, I'm not here to give you the answer. What do you think the first step should be?" It uses what's called the Socratic method, the same approach used by the ancient Greek philosopher. It asks questions that guide students to discover answers themselves. Research from Khan Academy found that when students used the platform for additional practice, they saw greater than expected gains on standardized assessments. And remember that Harvard study I mentioned? The AI tutor in that experiment was specifically designed using evidence-based pedagogical principles. The students using it didn't just learn more, they reported feeling more engaged and more motivated than their classroom peers. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The traditional university lecture was never designed for optimal learning. It was designed for scale. One professor, hundreds of students, minimal cost per head. But now, AI can achieve scale and personalization simultaneously. It can adapt to each student's pace. It can identify knowledge gaps in real time. It can be infinitely patient, available 24/7 and never have an off day. And what does this cost? According to educational technology pricing data, quality AI tutoring solutions range from $9 to $15 per month for students. That is $108 to $180 a year versus $63,000 a year. But before we get too excited about AI tutoring, there's a cautionary tale we need to examine. In April 2025, Duolingo, the language learning app with 103 million monthly active users, announced it was going AI first. The CEO declared they would phase out contractors and let AI write lessons instead. Wall Street loved it. The stock surged from $384 to a peak of $540 by mid-May. Efficiency, margins, infinite scaling. The future had arrived. Then reality hit. Users opened the app and got sentences like, "The bears are drinking beer at the party. The cows cleaned the kitchen yesterday. The cats went to the market today." It felt less like learning Spanish and more like babysitting a hallucinating chatbot. People with 500-day, 800-day, and even 1,000-day streaks quit overnight. Competitors with human-curated content saw a surge in users. But here's what happened next. By December 2025, just 6 months after the AI-first announcement, Duolingo's stock had collapsed 64%. The company now trades at $186, down from that $540 peak. It's crucial to understand what actually killed Duolingo's stock price. First, the content quality issues. Language learning requires cultural context, idioms, and nuance, areas where AI still struggles without human oversight. Second, the trust erosion. Duolingo didn't gradually integrate AI while maintaining quality. It rapidly replaced 100+ human writers and translators with AI systems. Users felt betrayed. The quirky human personality that made Duolingo special, the mascot's jokes, the cultural references, the playfulness, that soul was gone. Third, the speed-quality trade-off. CEO Luis von Ahn told employees, "We would rather move quickly and take occasional small hits on quality than move slowly and miss the moment." That calculation worked for the stock price for exactly 1 month. Here's the critical lesson. AI didn't kill Duolingo. Duolingo killed Duolingo's trust. As one analyst framed it, if your product is good, AI makes it great. If your product is fragile, AI makes it crumble faster. Duolingo is now trying to repair the damage, investing more in human quality control and improving its AI-generated content. But they've learned a painful lesson. You can't automate away the soul of your product and expect users to stay. This is the warning light for every company rushing into AI-first strategies. So what does the Duolingo collapse mean for universities and AI tutoring? Actually, it reinforces something important. The real value isn't in the AI. It's in quality, trust, and human judgment. Harvard has 375,000 living alumni. Stanford alumni have founded approximately 39,900 companies since the 1930s, generating close to $2.7 trillion in annual revenue. MIT alumni have launched over 30,000 companies that employ 4.6 million people worldwide, with roughly $1.9 trillion in annual revenue. These aren't just credential mills, they're network nodes, power concentrators, social infrastructure. When you attend Harvard, you're not just learning economics. You're making connections that could lead to venture capital funding, job referrals, board appointments, and strategic partnerships for the rest of your life. According to recent wealth data, Harvard has an estimated 18,000 ultra-wealthy alumni with net worth exceeding $30 million, roughly 4% of the global ultra-wealthy population went to that single school. This is why elite institutions will likely survive. Their value proposition was never really about education. It was about access. As one analyst framed it, Harvard becomes a networking club. Learning happens elsewhere. What we're seeing is a splitting of two functions that were traditionally bundled together. Learning, which AI is making dramatically more accessible and effective, and credentialing plus networking, which elite institutions still monopolize. So where does this leave everyone who can't get into Harvard? Actually, in a surprisingly good position. Consider Duolingo. Despite its recent stumbles, this single app had 103 million monthly active users in 2024, more students than most countries' entire educational systems. And when AI-powered platforms get the human element right, they can be incredibly effective. The adaptive learning platform market is expected to grow from $1.72 billion in 2025 to $5.47 billion by 2032. That's not hype. That's capital flowing toward what works. Here's what's revolutionary. AI tutors don't just match traditional education. In many cases, they exceed it when built with care. And they're accessible to anyone with a smartphone. A student in rural India can now access the same quality of instruction as a student at a prep school in Manhattan. They can learn at 2 a.m., review concepts infinite times, and get immediate feedback on every answer. But, and this is crucial, only if the AI system is built with pedagogical care and ongoing human oversight, not just cost-cutting incentives. The market is responding. Google career certificates accepted by over 150 employers can be completed in months for a few $100s. Companies increasingly value what you can demonstrate over what institution approved your thesis. Sal Khan, the founder of Khan Academy, frames it this way: we're at the cusp of using AI for probably the biggest positive transformation that education has ever seen. We're going to do that by giving every student on the planet an artificially intelligent but amazing personal tutor. Benjamin Bloom's 2 sigma problem, unsolvable for 40 years, is finally being cracked, but only if we build it thoughtfully. What's emerging is a tiered system. Elite universities survive as networking and credentialing institutions for those who can access them. AI-powered learning platforms deliver actual education, often better education, to everyone else. And the middle tier? The regional colleges charging $40,000 a year for the same instruction you can get for $9 to $15 a month? They're getting squeezed from both sides, unless they can offer something unique: community, specialized research opportunities, or distinctive culture. They're facing extinction. So, what does this mean for you? If you're a student or parent planning for education, here's the new reality. First, understand what you're actually paying for. The purpose of a 4-year degree has fundamentally changed. You're no longer paying for knowledge. That's increasingly available elsewhere, often better and cheaper. You're paying for credentials, connections, and the experience. Second, be ruthless about ROI, the return of your education investment. If you can get into a top 20 university, the network effects may justify the cost. But if you're looking at a regional college with declining enrollment, mediocre job placement rates, and mounting costs, consider alternatives, seriously. Third, build skills over credentials. Google, IBM, and Apple don't care where you learn to code. They care if you can do the job. Build a portfolio, get certifications, demonstrate competence. Fourth, learn from Duolingo's mistake. When evaluating AI-powered learning platforms, ask, is there human expertise behind this? Does the AI serve the learning, or does learning serve the cost-cutting? Can this replace human judgment or enhance it? The smartest approach might be hybrid. Use AI tutors for actual learning. They're better at it when built properly. Then be strategic about credentials. Maybe that's a targeted degree program. Maybe that's certifications. Maybe that's building a body of work that speaks for itself. The great unbundling of higher education isn't coming. It's already here. For 4 decades, we knew that personalized tutoring was dramatically more effective than traditional classroom instruction. But we accepted the inferior method because we had no alternative. Now we do. The question isn't whether AI will transform education. The Harvard data already shows it can. The question is how quickly institutions will adapt and how many will stumble like Duolingo before getting it right? Benjamin Bloom died in 1999, never seeing his 2 Sigma problem solved. But his insight that every student has far more potential than traditional education unlocks is finally being realized. For the first time in history, world-class personalized instruction is available to anyone with a smartphone. What you do with that access is up to you. If this shifted how you think about education and AI, hit subscribe. We're tracking the transformation of work, learning, and human potential in the age of artificial intelligence. Drop a comment. Are you using AI for learning? Has it changed your view on traditional education? What's your experience with platforms like Duolingo or Khan Academy? I want to hear your story. And if you know someone making decisions about college right now, share this with them. They deserve to see the full picture, the potential, and the pitfalls. I'll see you in the next one.